Okay, hello, it's me, Beth the Builder. I know I haven't put a video out recently because, well, everyone needs a break. So I thought I'd give you guys a little house tour because it's the main focal point of like all my videos and projects and shit like that. So some info about my house is, I think I've said it a couple times, that my house was built in 1900 and boy, howdy, did it need some love. So, sorry, I'm using a stupid, selfie stick and I hate it. So, yeah, my house was built in 1900 and we bought it like 3.5 years ago and it was a foreclosure. So it needed some TLC. And, let's see. So this is my front door here. And then we walk into my porch where I've like done so many projects. So let me turn my camera around. Okay. So if you guys remember, I redid this whole floor. It was one of the earliest, earliest projects that I did for Beth the Builder. And let's see, one second. Yeah, and I sanded the whole thing by hand with help. I didn't do it all alone. But and then I stained it and I finished it. And I'm going to do like a video pretty soon of like an update about like how it's wearing since I did it, in a a very DIY way. This is my front door. I rebuilt all this like frame on here because it was like so janky that like the deadbolt wouldn't even lock because all this wood had just like been like chipped away for some reason. I don't know, monsters were trying to get in here or something. So I've done my floor in here. I did my trim, if you guys remember that video. I've painted. So then the last thing that I haven't touched in my porch, because everything from like the floor up has been painted or fixed or etc., is my ceiling. Look at my stupid ceiling. Hello, Alan. So I did not do this ceiling, okay? So don't look at me. But that's the last thing that kind of needs to be like fixed in my porch. And then they like slapped some paint on there because why the hell not? So that's my porch. We've kind of made it like a cute little workspace. I like edit and stuff, happy plants, etc. So then we move into my kitchen. There's my dog. Hey, Kita, what's up? She's cute. That's the chair she likes to sit in. So we're pretty sure that this porch was like all closed in before. Like this was over here was maybe like the door to the main spaces because there's this weird like cutout around here. So for whatever reason, that's like the way it is. Let me see. I feel like it won't let me tip my camera. Rotate device back. Why? Well, that's stupid. Well, whatever. Okay. So they like cut out this frame from our porch to our kitchen for whatever reason. So there's like a big old lip on here to get to the kitchen. It is on my list of things to fix because it looks stupid. And they just like hacked a hole through here. So maybe there was a door here or something, but they made it like a big opening. Most recently, well, no, that was my hallway. So this is the tile in my kitchen that I redid, my first tiling project. And I mean, it's yeah, it looks good compared to what it used to look like. We painted in here like 2 years ago. It was a disgusting orange like sponge paint. If you've seen that before, it's terrible and gross. And there was wallpaper like halfway up the wall as well. So we painted, and the ceiling in here, it's the only place in our house that has popcorn ceiling, but it's gross. So that's also on my to-do list. And then this didn't have a dishwasher, We redid all of the sink stuff, all the plumbing because it was like duct taped together. You can like see a little before picture of that in my video where I did like, it was like what not to do in a house. So there's that. Oven surround, I built all that. That's pretty cool. When we first moved in, like the kitchen was so like such a hot mess. It was very gross. But for whatever reason, like yeah, like what am I trying to say? So we painted like all the cabinets and we just cleaned the like ever-loving shit out of this kitchen because there's something about like other people's disgusting messes, especially in a kitchen, that just feels like so gross. But the floor in here was kind of like the big main thing that was like really gross and really bummed me out for a really long time. The cabinets, like, they're just old, you know? Like, there's only so much you can do with old cabinets. So yeah, like, we work with what we got. But hey, I redid that light, you know? Remember that? So because our house was foreclosed on, like there was like a bunch of shit left over. Like people had just left. They just left stuff. And it was pretty clear that like, you know, being an old house, you know, it needed someone to really take care of it because if you just like let stuff go in an old house, it's going to accumulate and be like such a bad time of it. So, yeah, it was pretty obvious that like, you know, people were just working really hard and just trying to like get by and they weren't really taking care of like maintenance on a home. And you can get away with a lot when it comes to like, there's my dog licking something. You can get away with a lot when like your house is newer, but I think when you have an old home, it just kind of constantly needs like upkeep and help. So here's our coffee nook. That's the mug tree thing that I built. Plants, happy plants. So this kitchen doesn't have an overhead like light because again, it's a bajillion-year-old kitchen. So there's a light over here above the sink, and then there's this weird, wacky friggin' light above the fridge because obviously there wasn't like a 5-foot fridge here 100 years ago. Well, 120 years ago, technically. So that's like also on my to-do list to do something with that weird light because it does work. The wiring has been updated. It just doesn't really do anything, you know? So it'd be nice to like run wiring up into the ceiling and then have a big old overhead light. But also there's no light switch for that. So it's like a pull chain. Dumb things about dumb old houses. Okay, and then most recently, if you guys remember, I just did it a couple weeks ago, is my hallway. Oh my God, I'm just so proud of it. It's beautiful. I'm really, really pleased with it now that I've like had time to not be exhausted. So that was my most recent video, and then I just need to take a break because tiling is a lot of work, like serious. I have a lot of respect for tilers. They're hardcore. So in my hallway, again, it was that janky, gross tile. And then I painted in here. There was wallpaper in here as well. But otherwise, that's kind of it. It's just like cosmetic stuff that I did. I took down the wallpaper, painted all the trim, and then did the floor. So pretty, you know, simple. So here's I haven't done any projects in my bathroom because, you know, but we did some like initial stuff because again, like bathrooms are like one of those areas when you're first like moving into a house that like just feels like so gross. There's something about a bathroom and other people's like grime that you just like can't get over until you like do something about it. So we cleaned the hell out of it, and then we replaced, there was a glass shower door in here. It was so gross. Like, it was so gross. So we got rid of that, and then we just put a shower curtain in because that's just like way easier to maintain and clean. But the tile in here is like legit, like mason tile or whatever. that's been like grouted. It's obviously newer. It looks much nicer. The bathroom has been like semi-updated. It's not a 120-year-old bathroom because no one wants to use that. So that's been like semi-redone. You know, there's a fan and all the things. So we haven't done a ton in there. I mean, it's a little bathroom and it has been updated. So I feel like it doesn't need as much care as other places in our house did. And then if you guys remember, I did the floor. There was carpet in here, you know? So I peeled up all the carpet and now it's just waiting for me to someday rent a big old floor sander and like sand it the heck down. So that's kind of what that's doing. Otherwise, we painted in there. The trim needs to be painted because when you have an old house and no one's like been maintaining it, everything needs to be painted. Everything. So there's these cool little like built-in drawers and stuff like that. And then behind me, there's a closet, which I actually use for like tools and shit and like a mop. This is my spouse's office of recording things, so we won't disturb that. This is a closet under the stairs closet. So this is a weird thing about my old house is it does have, you can see here, it has crap, what's it called? Plaster and lathe or whatever. And they flipped. So this is under my stairs and they're like newer. So at some point they flipped the stairs. So the stairs did go this way. And then at some point they reconfigured the upstairs to have like 2 bedrooms and they flipped it so that in my living room, they go like up and around. So, this is just a janky closet thing under the stairs. I hate this closet. It's a stupid tiny closet, but I use it for storage, etc. You know, it's got new HVAC stuff running upstairs, but otherwise, there's nothing super interesting in there. Let's see. So then in my living room, this was also a place that we spent a lot of time like redoing before we even moved in, because we took about 2 weeks, I think, to like paint and clean things because it was a foreclosure and it obviously needed some love. So we painted in here. And we got like free paint from my job before. They had like leftover paint. So I just used that and mixed like, this is like a custom color of miscellaneous paint. So you'll never find this color again. So take that, whoever owns this house after us. So we painted in here because this was like 3 different colors. So they had like slapped paint to like cover like a ding or whatever on the wall. And they just like picked another random color and just like painted it. So it was just like splotchy, weird colored paint. So we painted in here. And then our bedroom was the other place that we painted right away. But, so this has this like cool, like archway. Just like in our kitchen. There's my other dog. She's a couch bum. Hey, what's up? She's cute. So again, like because our walls are plaster, yeah, it's like, I've never dealt with plaster walls. Like I mean, I grew up in old houses and stuff like that, but I mean, as a kid, you don't like think about that shit. So I didn't realize that when we first moved in. It was just kind of like not a thing that I was aware of. And it's definitely like a beast unto itself of dealing with plaster walls and old plaster walls. So yeah, I've definitely made like big weird holes in the walls trying to like hang something because it's not like drywall at all. So but I'm pretty sure, as far as we know, anyway, like all the trim is like original, we think. I don't know, you know, like, I don't know. Like in our kitchen for sure, like at least some of it is. Let me find a good place here. Like it's obviously pretty friggin' old. And then this bottom piece here, they like added on. Obviously, like that's pretty new. But yeah, I mean, it's people really like our house when we did buy it, and then when people come in, they're like, "Your house is so cool. It has so much like charm." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what you get from an old house." But also like the amount of work that you put into it is like incredible. Like you'll I think what my mom called it was she called it like sweat equity. So you put in like blood, sweat, and tears to like add value to your home. And that's 100% true. That's like pretty much what Beth the Builder is all about is that my blood, sweat, and tears of trying to make things better for low cost and, you know, like just my own skills. And a lot of the stuff like I didn't do a ton of until we bought our house, and I realized like I was working full time, and I realized I would rather be at home working on a project for 8 hours, 12 hours a day to make my home better and to like learn a thing than I would working for someone else at something I don't give a shit about, like coffee or a restaurant or whatever. And those were the jobs I had. Like that's my experience was working in restaurants, working at a coffee shop and managing that. Like that's what I knew. I was pretty good at it. But like that's not like my passion. I don't care about coffee or food. Like I'm not interested in that. Like some people get really passionate about really good coffee, and I'm like, I like caffeine, I like coffee, but I'm not like, it's just not, I don't care that much. So I was doing that, and we bought our home, and I was like, I want to work on these projects. Like I want to like really dig into like, this is our space, this is mine, I can do what I want. So what am I doing? Like working for the man and barely, you know, and not enjoying myself and not really taking home a ton of, you know, what you get from that money, etc. So, I mean, yeah. So the first project I did was, like I said, that front door, the whole frame on it had just been like, I don't even know what happened to it. But I remember when we came over with our inspector to get our house inspected before we bought it, he like went to put in the code for the door, and it just like opened. Like he didn't need a key or anything. It just opened, and he was like, okay. And it's because they had just locked the deadbolt, and the deadbolt didn't have anything to like lock into. So the latch on the knob, that worked, and that was fine. But they hadn't locked that. They just locked the deadbolt. So it was just like, oh, the house is just sitting empty and unlocked because the door frame is so fucked up. So yeah. But that was one of the first things I fixed because it just looked janky and terrible. And then I also, I guess I didn't show this. This was also one of the first projects that I did. I redid the frame. Don't look in that corner because that looks terrible. I got a like frame kit. I guess it's trim, sorry. I got a trim kit thing from, you know, Lowe's, and I redid the trim around it because it was like, man, I don't even remember what it looked like, but I know it was like janky as hell, and it just looked terrible. So I didn't know anything, and I mean, I'm not saying I know a whole lot right now either, but there's like a big crack. Look at this. Oh, Beth, what did you do? Yeah, I did that. I just didn't know how to cut these stupid angles. I mean, now I've gotten way better. I mean, I put trim in this whole porch, and that was a ton of angle cuts, but I didn't know how to cut that. So that was early me doing projects in my house. So forgive me for that. But, oh, there's this cool, this is what obviously makes me think this was the main door, is that, this is a glass door randomly, you know, when now you have this big opening. So obviously this was more useful at a certain time, but now it's just kind of like there. Okay. So in my living room, the main thing that I've done, hey Keita, what's up, is the floor. If you remember that, I did that this year. I pulled up all this crappy, terrible vinyl flooring that was covering up this is original hardwood for this house. And I mean, I don't know what they did to this floor. They just treated it poorly. Probably several families, several people owning this house. But so I tore up that vinyl flooring. And again, just like our bedroom, the plan is to eventually rent a big old floor sander and sand this all down and then restain it, etc. That's the plan. I really am excited to do that at some point, but I can't drop like a couple $100 right now on renting a floor sander and stain and all the things. So that has to kind of like stay for what it is. But then the other side of the living room here is, assuming at some point maybe this was like the dining room because there is like the arch. So I don't know. We use it as like one just big giant space. But this guy here, this flooring this is the same tile as the living room, no, as the kitchen and hallway. And then underneath, look, another layer of tile, because when in doubt, just all the way down. Tiles for days. So that's cool. But the plan, I said it for my hallway, I said, I'm not tearing up any more tile. For the foreseeable future, I need like a year, okay? I'm not tiling. I'm not scraping up tile, etc. I'm tired. It's so much work with the tools that I have. I'm just not. No thanks. I'm good. So that's got to be a future Beth problem because I'm not doing it. But that would be the thing to do, is to tear that all up before we rent a floor sander so we could do bedroom, living room, the whole living room, etc. So, and maybe, it's a future video I'll do for you guys is an update on my porch, but I'm thinking maybe if I was going to rent a floor sander, it would be a good idea to sand that down again as well and redo it. But for right now, it's 100% better. And it was a learning process of things. So, our living room, pretty much the only thing I've done is the floor. I have a list of things I would like to do, but time, energy, money, all that stuff is not infinite. So, sorry, I had some notes. Let me, 1 second. Let's see. I think the number of gallons of paint that we've gone through in our house are, I don't know, several, 8 maybe or something, because all the trim needed to be painted and like every room pretty much. Now I think at this point on the main floor, I've painted every single room except for my spouse's office, because it's just like a dark gray. No big deal. But this is a weird old house thing. So all the trim is, so old and weird. But, so all the doors had this weird, so they were stained in the middle and painted on the edges, which to me just seems like such an odd choice. I don't know. Please excuse my Christmas decorations. I leave Christmas decorations up much longer than everyone else, I think. But it's only like the 7th or something. It's not that long after Christmas. So, and also because all the trim and doors and stuff like that are so old, I've filled in, this is wood putty here that I just haven't sanded down. It everything had scratches and just dents and everything. So I've used several tubs of wood putty in our house. So this just needs to be sanded down and then painted. So we've painted several doors, because doesn't that just look way better like than this? I don't know what this is about. It just looks so weird. I don't know. It must be some like weird style at some point, some era that was like in. But what's this button do? Oh, crazy, weird filters. Okay, that's not necessary. Don't get distracted. Okay. So that in this hallway here, there's so many doors. So I've painted like the outsides of 4 doors, and then the inside of our bathroom one. And then it's so much work painting doors. Like, it's such a pain in the ass. Painting trim, all that stuff is just so much work. Especially when you don't just want to like slop paint all over, which is also something that people did in this house. The like skill of, like, I think painting is a relatively like basic, simple homeownership thing that you should know how to like paint a wall or paint some trim and do it reasonably well. And for whatever reason, a number of people probably, who have painted in this house, they just did a crazy job of it. Our basement is a great example of just insanity of painting. Like, multiple colors, you got wallpaper, you got trim like painted a different color, and it's like uneven, it's just slopped on. And then the paint's like running down onto the carpet. It's just a mess. Oh, and they painted pipes and electrical wiring. They just like went to town. They did not care about like taping, maybe being careful, like maybe don't just let paint like run down the walls like a horror movie. Like, it's wild. So that's why we initially did a lot of painting before we moved in, and now it's just been like an ongoing like, what should I do? I'm going to paint a room. I'm going to paint this trim, and there's just constant things that need to be painted because it's been, I don't know, years and years and years since it's been really taken care of. So in our living room here, that's in my living room floor video, is like when I peeled up the vinyl flooring, there was just like paint. Like, there's some right here actually that I didn't scrub off. So there's just paint like slopped all over the like original wood floors in this house, which is insane to me. I don't know why you would do that, because in my experience, it's not that hard to like not slop paint everywhere. And I've been like told that like I'm a very like haphazard, crazy painter, because, you know, I want to like get the project done. I want to like get it. Yeah, let's fucking paint. So, but even I know, like, maybe don't let big drips of paint just run down the wall. Maybe don't just slop paint all over the floor. I don't know. That's just me. But look at my painting videos coming up. Yeah, I've thought about doing like trim painting video stuff, because apparently the people who painted my house needed like some tips and tricks or something, because they did a terrible job. Here's my sleepy dog. Look at her. She's so cute. Don't look at me. Oh, here's my other dog. Their lives are just so rough. Hey, Spike. So yeah, I think, yeah, like some painting stuff would probably be good. All the windows in here need to be painted, like the trim around them. I don't know if this is a thing like for other people who own houses, old houses anyway. Some people like swear by it, and they say it's like a really good idea to put, like in the winter, like it is right now, to put that like plastic, like tape all your windows up for the winter. Because that's obviously what they did in this house, because there was like there still is, again, an ongoing thing, like sticky tape residue all over each frame of each window. It's infuriating because it's like sticky and gross, And at this point, it's been on there for like a decade, so it's almost impossible to like get off with like using like Goo Gone or like scrubby stuff. It's so much work. It's terrible. So I've had mixed reviews of what people actually think of taping windows for old houses. Like, is it worth it? Should you do that? I don't know. Some people have said like that's the way to go if you have an old house. You have to like tape up your windows with plastic for the winter. It'll definitely be warmer. And other people have been like, nah, it's just a pain in the ass. It's not worth it. My mom has lived in dozens of old houses, and she said that like she's done it, and it's not really, like she thinks it's not worth it. So I don't know. It does seem like a lot of work for what you're doing. I don't know. I've never done it, but I definitely like think like our windows have been updated. All of them except for like one upstairs is still like an older wooden frame. But like all of our windows are like the double hung, you know, like double paned, like whatever. Like they're nicer windows. But I noticed this year, because it's been so dang windy, is that like when it's really windy, I can feel like cool air almost like on the edges of a couple like frames. I'm like, oh, that's probably not great. Like, probably pretty cold. But I think it's also just, you know, that's the curse of having an old home. Like, I've seen mixed reviews of like, is lath and plaster walls, like, is that warmer than just drywall? And I feel like drywall has got to be a better insulator because it's just a more modern, like it's more modern. It's got to be better than lath and plaster, in my opinion. But I don't know, okay? I'm not, I don't know anything about efficiency for houses. So, okay. So that's all about my living room. Oh, one weird thing. There isn't a light. There's no like main overhead light in this room. So if you took away all the lamps, this room would be completely dark. Besides, over here, there's a ceiling fan and a light. But there was one in here, obviously, because you probably can't see it. There's like an indentation in the ceiling where there probably was a light at some point. And there are light switches, but for whatever reason, there is not an overhead light in this room. Again, just a weird, fun old house thing. Old house problems. Oh, Akita, sleep in your bed. Yay. Okay, so then this is the stairwell, and we're not gonna go to my basement because it's just a basement. It's not that interesting. It has like, it's half, my basement is half finished with a bathroom, and then it has like 3 areas, like one's like a cellar, one's like just has shelves in it, and then there's another space by our furnace. It's a pretty like cut up basement. It's not super conducive for working down there, and that's why I'll show you guys my workspace, which I think I've never maybe shown. But that's why I work up there and not in the basement, because our basement's a little bit it's just not super great for like having a shop or whatever. Okay, so stairwell, this has been reconfigured to be stairs over here. Instead of going that way, they go this way and then that way. So, let's see. Oh yeah, I painted my banister. Looks way better. And then I painted this wall to match the rest of our living room and everything. Okay, this is gonna be dark. Yes, this is a pull string light. Again, old house things. Why is it a pull string light? I don't know. Okay, so stairs. Ugh. Okay, and here's my workspace. Okay, so over here, got a light. So I think people have asked me, but like been surprised that like I'm willing to work and stuff like that upstairs in a carpeted space because it's not typical for like what you would think of as like a shop or something. And it's because, again, my basement's not conducive for workshop space. And and our garage, which again, it's way too cold to go outside, but our garage is janky as hell. Again, it's probably like 80 years old and needs to be probably just torn down. But it doesn't have power. It's not closed in. Like the doors are broken. And it's a weird configuration of, it's actually not our garage. It's shared. It's a split garage. It's got 2 doors. And it sits right across the property line. So half of it's on our property and the other half is on our neighbor's property. And that was like a thing. Like, I think people said like there's a few other houses in this part of town that are like that. And it was like just a weird building thing that's just like what they did. They shared a garage with somebody. So it's only half ours. And then again, like there's no power to it. There's no lights. It's creepy and old and gross. And, you know, we park our car in it and that's it. Like we store some stuff in it. So I would love to have like a big old nice garage where I could like, you know, park our car and then also like have a workshop and it be like warm and everything and like have all my stuff set up, because right now, like I do have some things in the basement and then I have most of my stuff up here. It's, you know, you make do with what you got, and like we have spare bedrooms that like, you know, you can only use so much space for living and sleeping. So yeah, like this was a spare bedroom. There's one other bedroom up here that we've made into like a gaming space with like tables and chairs and stuff. But it's only like our upstairs is only like a half, you know, you can see the like peak. So it's like we have like 1.5 stories or whatever. Yeah. So like we weren't really using a space. We kind of used it like partially as like a guest bedroom. And then we just didn't do that. And I made it into the space that I could like work at. I got my big old table. I have my workbench, tools, other little thing, a desk I don't use. So, I mean, it's not like my favorite space ever because there's just things about it that don't work super well. But considering like my other options were like work in a very, very cold basement that's janky and doesn't really work, or do this, like I think this is probably the way to go. Yeah, like dust and stuff like that. Like I do carve things up here and sand things. I mean, I do it outside when I can, but it's, you know, it is what it is. Like, I mean, what else would we use this space for at this point? Like, so it's definitely, these slanted ceilings are a little annoying, but it's not a big deal. So I have a pegboard that I want to put up here, which would be really handy. That's something I'm going to do. Our upstairs has been obviously like redone. So the stairs were reconfigured, and then like this is all drywall up here. Like this has all been redone. Even though it was done weirdly, because there's weird choices that they put in, like the trim is like a big hot mess. The carpet, again, like they just like slopped paint along the edges, whatever. So it's not like the nicest redone upstairs, but it's better than like having a weird attic-y crawl space or whatever, like that you can't really use. So I don't know when this was done exactly, but it is all drywall. All the electrical's been updated for our upstairs, for the bathroom, for half of the kitchen, etc. So some things have been redone and some stuff hasn't, which is literally the gamble of old houses. But yeah, it is kind of nice that our upstairs is like pretty much been redone. And I have no regrets about using this space as a workshop. It's warm, like it's not chilly and depressing like a basement. Future Beth would really like a nice big shop out, like that would be great. Like devoted to all this stuff and have like endless like workspace and storage and all the things. That's the dream. But for right now, like this makes do, considering like I've only owned a home for 3.5 years. And yeah, it's 100+ years old. So it definitely, it's doing okay considering. And that's why I think like, here's my hot tip for old houses. Get an inspection, because I think it does really tell you a lot about the space in the house. And then you can do with that what you will. Like we got an inspection and they were like, well, the furnace is 40 years old and the air conditioning is 40 years old and your roof is 40 years old. And some of the electrical seems to be older than that. And the water heater is shot. And what else you got? What else you want to know? And we're like, oh my God. But honestly, like none of that, none of that was like that big of a surprise. Like we'd walked through it a couple times. We were like, it's an old house, So, but I think like certain things with inspection, like knowing like, are the lines for plumbing out to the street, has that been replaced? You may not know that as just like a random ass home buyer. If you're not handy or have anything, if you don't know anything about houses. So, that's all useful information. The same with like, like telling you information about your foundation, your roof, etc. Sorry. Is all just like good information, honestly. Like, and you may not know any of that stuff as just, again, if it's like your first time buying a house, like it was ours, it's just good to have somebody tell you all of this information. So, I don't think it's a good idea to like just go in blind. That seems like a bad choice. But yeah, so that's my like number one hot tip for homeowners, especially first-time home buyers who are young, like we were, whatever. Get an inspection. It just tells you a lot of information. So do that. But yeah, this is kind of like where all the Beth the Builder magic happens. Well, sometimes. I mean, sometimes I do a project in my hallway or outside. But otherwise, this is kind of where I have my main tools. Paint. Wood. I don't have a lot of wood right now. This is like nothing. Ugh, it's so sad. But yeah, I set my workbench up so that I could film from over here and you guys could see what's behind me. And it's a really, good workbench. But otherwise, yeah, I did some wood burning this morning. So I got all that stuff. Plants. And honestly, it's a pretty okay space. But yeah. Weird closet. It's a creepy closet. There's plenty of other weird stuff in my house that I could like talk about and I could show you, but that's kind of like why I've done projects and why I've like been pretty honest about like, I don't know, I found this weird thing in my house. I'm going to try and fix it. Let's see how that goes, because it's just like endless of like weird shit that you find, weird like choices that people made about like painting or fixing. Like I did my one video about like what not to do for DIYing, and I could like do multiple series of that, I think, because like my house is just full of like what not to do, things to not try, don't do this, and lots of like just, I think, yeah, uncovering things and being like, what the fuck, like what is this, what's happening. But I love it. I really like having an old home. It has a lot of charm and a lot of interesting things about it. And it's great fodder for someone who likes DIYing, likes being handy, and likes trying new things, and likes figuring out like how to do that thing. So, those are all the main areas of my home, and some, you know, like throwbacks to this year and Beth Builder videos, that things I've done and tried, and to varying, mostly success, I think. Yeah, mostly successful DIY projects. I'm planning on doing like a Christmas unboxing type video of different tools and stuff like that I got for Christmas. And that'll be a fun, like, to come type thing. You know, things I'm going to work on in the future. Otherwise, you know, hey, check out my Etsy shop, because I'm going to be adding some new items. I've been working on some stuff up here. So you can go and like get a Beth the Builder thing, support me that way. But otherwise, you know all the things, like you could fund a Beth the Builder project from PayPal. But otherwise, yeah, just like liking and watching and subscribing are all like incredibly useful to me. They're so useful. And I really appreciate, like, in the last, you know, this year, last year, I guess, 2021 was like really encouraging of like having a huge like spike in like watching, subscribers, etc. And obviously it's not like the biggest, it's not like I have the hugest channel, but it wouldn't be anything if it weren't for people like engaging and being like, I like that, that's cool. So I really appreciate it, because it's just me. I'm not a professional. I'm not a like know-it-all that I have all the answers, but I'm pretty willing to like try shit and just see what happens and be honest about it. Like, I don't know, I probably shouldn't have done that. I probably shouldn't have messed with that. Or like, that was pretty easy. I feel pretty good about it. So, yeah, that's kind of my plan. I want to like cut down on editing stuff. So that's why I was like, I'll try and do a live stream and see how that goes, because I'm not an expert at it. I haven't done it a ton. It feels like weird. But I have some ideas of future things, because I'm trying to do a bunch of other things as well and not spend time editing, because the worst part of any video thing, it's the worst. So, so yeah, I feel like that's kind of all the things. Oh, here's my wall of things. My clock, my helmet. Don't fucking tell me what to do. So yeah, that's, the space looks so small on a camera, but yeah, I really do appreciate everybody watching and engaging my content. And yeah, I'm just going to keep doing it. I got a list of projects to do for 2022, right? That's the year now, 2022. And yeah, we'll just keep like plugging away at it. So thanks for coming on my little weird house tour. You know, now you kind of know things about my house, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, my next thing I'm gonna do is like Christmas gift tool unboxing stuff, new things I got, and my plans for them. So should be pretty cool. And yeah, so stay warm. It's like -20 here with wind. It's terrible. So stay warm and toasty, and I'll see you guys on the flippity flip.